Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here today with a video. So someone in my Ninja Deck profile commented asking for a sort of like a combo tutorial or practice hands video. So I'm bringing that to you guys today. So if you guys haven't checked out the Ninja Deck profile, I highly recommend checking that out before you watch this. It'll just make a little bit more sense. But yeah, this deck, it's not super combo heavy. You play a lot of trap cards, so a lot of it relies on going first, getting your traps out onto the field, and waiting for your opponent's turn to make moves. So in this deck, a lot of what you're really relying on is just getting a ninja monster out on the field and then setting super transformation. So what super transformation does is you target a ninja you control and a face-up monster your opponent controls, send them both to the graveyard, so it doesn't destroy, so it can get around DPE like that. You send them to the graveyard and special summon a dragon, dinosaur, or sea serpent monster from your deck whose level is less than or equal to the combined levels of the monster sent to the graveyard. So in this deck, I run cards like Amorphage Goliath and Amorphage Sloth. So both of these cards have the effect that neither player can special summon from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. So for you, that's fine. You don't go into your extra deck too much. Like Ninja Grandmaster Saizo is a good card, but for the most part, your extra deck's kind of optional. So a lot of it is just to lock your opponent out. Now, one weakness of this deck is that if your opponent doesn't play extra deck, your entire win condition is kind of lost. So it does have its fair share of weaknesses, but I'm going to do a test hand for you guys just to sort of show you how to play this deck or what it's about. I took out the hand traps. Like, there's no Ghost Ogres or Imperms or anything in here just because I wanted to focus on the important cards. So those aren't in here, but obviously if you draw them, you're not really going to be using them for combos anyway. So yeah, here, I'll just shuffle the deck for camera so you guys know it's not like fixed or whatever. And I'm just going to do a test hand of 5 cards. So to start with, this is what our hand looks like, and this is actually a pretty good hand. I don't know how well the camera can pick that up. It's raining outside, the lighting's not all that great, so I apologize for that, but this is a pretty good hand. So we already have our super transformation and a lost wind, which helps with negating opponent effects. So these are really good cards right off the bat. And since we don't necessarily need a lost wind, we have a few combos we can make. So first, you can use the effect of Ninja Jogan. So you reveal a ninjutsu art card from your hand, like super transformation, and I can special summon Jogan out to the field. Yeah, so Jogan's out now. Let me see if I can focus a little bit better. There we go. So Jogan's out now. We revealed ninjutsu art of super transformation, so our opponent knows we have it, but that's honestly okay, because we don't have to send it to the graveyard or anything. Next, I would normal summon Upstart Golden Ninja. Golden Ninja's effect, you can send a trap from your hand to the graveyard, and special summon a ninja from your deck in defense position. I'd send Lost Wind. That actually, I don't know if I'd want to send super transformation because we can go back into it, or if we just want to send Lost Wind. Just because we don't really need it. It's not a necessity. I'd probably send Lost Wind to the graveyard and search our deck. You could go into a Hanzo. Hanzo's really good because you can search other ninjas. So honestly, that might be the move. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we'd really want to add. Yeah, so we'll go into a Hanzo. Special summon Hanzo in face-up defense position. Hanzo's effect when he's special summoned. Let me see if I can get that to focus. When this card is special summoned, you can add a ninja monster from your deck to your hand. So we do that. We could add... let's go with another Jogan, because we still have our ninjutsu art in our hand, and Jogan's effect isn't once per turn. So we'd reveal our super transformation again, and then we'd special summon another Jogan out to the field. And now we can... at this point, I would probably go into a Saizo, but I don't know if I want to send both of the Jogans and go into Saizo, or I'd probably send Hanzo and Upstart, because normally you could send Jogan, both our Jogans, to the graveyard, go into Saizo, then you could overlay these two and go into a Utopia play, but you do need to have one ninja out for super transformation, so I don't want to do that. So I link into a Saizo. His effect, so during your main phase, you can send a ninjutsu, art, spell, or trap directly from your deck. You can only do this once per turn, and when this card points to... well, this card points to a monster. This card can't be targeted for attacks. So here, let me move this down just so you can see it. So with this current board, he does point to 2 Jogans, so your opponent can't attack Saizo. And now I'd use Saizo's effect to search directly for one. Like I said, at this point, if you wanted to keep Lost One, you could discard your super transformation. And then you just set another one, but you wouldn't get your second Jogan out, so that's why I didn't want to do that. So I would probably go into a Rust Mist at this point, set this directly, and then set your super transformation, and at this point you would probably pass, and here's why. So you have this board out. You have 3 monsters with 2,000 attack. Now that's not insanely high, but during your opponent's turn, you can essentially at any point, it depends on what deck your opponent's running, but if you wanted to, you could theoretically go on first summon just to make sure your opponent can't get their plays. Go into a super transformation, send your Jogan and that opponent's monster to the graveyard, and go into an Amorphage Goliath. Now your opponent can't go into their extra deck unless they just happen to be playing Amorphage, which I doubt. And then you can also flip up Rust Mist at your opponent's standby phase. So any special summons they do, that monster is now at half attack points. So your opponent's locked out of their extra deck. Any special summon monsters they control have half attack points. You have a monster in Amorphage Goliath with 2750 attack, 2000 attack with Jogan, and 2000 attack with Saizo. And like I said, since you don't really need to go into your extra deck that much, you can keep making plays at this point. So like, let's say I keep my board like this and my opponent passes turn, I get to go again. I've now drawn a Shadow Ceiling. This is a really good card. You contribute a ninja monster and target a monster your opponent controls and banish it. So while that card's banished, that monster zone can't be used as well. And when this card leaves the field, that banished monster returns to the field. But even if I didn't want to play this card, I still have Upstart Golden Ninja. I could discard my Shadow Ceiling and search for another ninja monster. So at this point, since you're not going into your extra deck, most of your ninjas don't have crazy high attack points. Yellow ninjas at 1900, that's probably the highest in the main deck other than Jogan. But like, this is a pretty strong board because, like, let's say, I know Verte just got banned, so it's not a great example anymore. But like, if my opponent was playing the 60-card adventure token deck, right? Unless they had a way to out your Amorphage Goliath, they can't go into their DPE, they can't go into their Halka Fibrax, they can't go into any of those plays because they can go into the extra deck. And even if they wanted to special summon from the main deck, like a lot of decks like to do, or even from the graveyard like Eldritch, for example, those monsters all are at half attack points now because of Rust Mist. So usually you can take your opponent by surprise a lot with this deck, but if they're playing a lot of spell and trap removal, that is kind of detrimental to the deck. But that's just kind of one of the weaknesses of playing a ninja deck. So I'm going to do one more test hand real quick. And I'll probably call it a video there. Most of the combos in this deck are pretty similar. You want your end board to have a Morphage Goliath no matter what, and then ideally another ninja monster so you can use Rust Mist. So like I said, usually Saizo is the pick for that. But that's usually your end board. Saizo and the Goliath, and then maybe another card if you have more space, but that pretty much is how this deck functions. So I'm going to go 5 more cards. And you want to go first just so your opponent can't disrupt your plays. Oh, and this is a terrible hand. Oh, man. All right. Yeesh. So this isn't even, like, super playable, because Ninjutsu Art of the Hidden Village of the Arts isn't really useful in this effect because we don't have a ninja monster or a Ninjutsu Art card in our graveyard. But I'd probably just play it to play it. We have Crackdown, which is nice. You can normal summon Yellow Ninja. You don't have a ninja in your hands, so that's not super useful. You'd pretty much just have to Yellow Ninja, set Crackdown, set Super Transformation, and pass. And then, during your opponent's turn, play Super Transformation, send your ninja and their monster, go into Goliath. You know the deal at that point. But Other than that, another thing you could do is after you send their monster, you could crack down and take that opponent's monster if you wanted to. Or not, I guess you couldn't take that monster, but like, because crackdown is, yeah, crackdown is from the field. So never mind, I spoke wrong. But yeah, you pretty much just super transformation into Goliath. And then at that point, you can crack down on your opponent's board if you wanted to. Your next draw would be D-Barrier, so that's not bad, but if they're not going into the extra deck anyway, it doesn't matter too much. That was a bad hand, so you still got out Goliath, which again is all this deck really cares about, but I'm going to do one more just because that was kind of a bad example. All right, this is actually a really good hand. All right, so first, you already have Super Transformation, that's good. Remember, we play 3 of, so it's pretty easy to come by. You could start by revealing this card, going into 2 Jogans. Then I would normal summon your Hanzo. Let me move this down. You normal summon your Hanzo. When he's normal summoned, you get to search for a ninjutsu art card. So that's usually your spell or trap. Go into Rust Mist there. I would, at this point, probably link a Jogan and a Hanzo. Go into Saizo. Saizo's effect, search 1. Go into Shadow Ceiling. If you didn't want to go into Shadow Ceiling, you could go into a second Super Transformation. However, the problem with that is if you activate the first one, let's say you send Jogan, this is during your opponent's turn by this point, and you go into a Goliath, for example. Now you only have the one ninja monster left. So if you go into a second Super Transformation, you send Saizo, go into another, actually at this point you probably have to go into a Sloth, depending on what cards your opponent had, because Link monsters don't have levels. But even if you went into another Morphage, now your Rust Mist doesn't work because you don't have a ninja monster out on the field. So I'd probably hold on and leave Saizo out. Keep Shadow Ceiling or go into a Super Transformation, but I wouldn't set that until your next turn. Or if you know your opponent's playing Spell or Trap removal, you could have this card set just as a bait, so your opponent might, if they have like a Cosmic Cyclone or something, they can pop one of the 2, but they can't get rid of both. So that's what I would do. This way you can keep Saizo on the field, so during your next turn you can use this effect to get another Ninjutsu Art Trap from your deck, and then continue plays from there. Since you have Hanzo, you can use another Super Transformation on it. You can target it with Shadow Ceiling. You have different options there. Again, since this deck is so trap heavy, there's not too much you can do on your first turn. So it's not super combo heavy, it's more of a control deck, but that's kind of why I like it, just because you can stop your opponent from playing, which is kind of annoying if you're the opponent, but it's a good combo for a not great deck overall, so it's just my take on trying to make it kind of competitive. But yeah, that's it for the combos. I know it's not the most exciting combo deck in the world, but this deck kind of, again, it's more of a control deck anyway, so that's all for this video. If you liked it, remember to like and subscribe. If you want to see me do other test hands for deck profiles I have on the deck, let me know. If you want to see me deck profile other decks, I will try if I have the cards for it. I can also try to do some Master Duel content. I am Platinum currently, so I could do that if you guys want to see that. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.